early signing period / signing day press conference. We'll go ahead and get started with questions for Coach Wilcox. Go ahead and raise your hand for the mic and we'll bring it to you.
Coach, you had the benefit of a lot of these guys kind of being locked up as solid commits early on. Does that help you with the recruiting process, having that certainty and not having to do so much juggling?
Yeah, it definitely helps when they commit early to us rather than other places, but it's still a fight to the finish. You know, recruiting is very, very competitive, and we've got some good players, and some were committed early, a fair amount of them, but they were still getting beat on pretty good by a lot of schools, and so tribute to them and our staff, coaches and support staff of seeing it through to the end, and really feel good about the class as a whole. And it's a big group. It's pretty well balanced, and it took a lot of people to get us to this point.
DJ Rogers, what impact does this commitment have on Cal? And this is the biggest recruiting class in Cal's history.
Well, DJ's a talented kid. He's big and athletic. He's got a lot of tools. He fits the profile of that position, and he's still got a lot to learn. But done a great job, and we're excited to get him. And there's a lot of people, like I said, Marcus and some other people on our staff that are heavily involved in recruiting him. But I think he saw something here at Cal that fit him on and off the field, and a guy that we'll be excited to get into our program, not only football but strength and conditioning, and watch him grow as a player, but also as a person here on campus. So.
Yeah, it says on here you guys have 9 mid-year enrollees. How much does getting those 9 guys in early help you guys as a program?
It's big, not only for their development, because they get a head start on their first year here. It's big for our team, because you get that spring ball, you get the winter conditioning, you get spring ball, you get the spring conditioning, you get summer workouts, and they're that much more prepared for fall practice, and you got a more mature roster that way. You're full, more full than you would be without them, and so that's a big part of it, and it's become more and more prevalent. And today with guys leaving high school early and enrolling mid-year, and it's kind of person by person, but we have a bunch of them coming early, along with a junior college, well, I guess a transfer student from the Southern Hemisphere in Jameson. So it'll be good for our team.
A couple of things. One is you said you like your class, but is there a particular area that you're particularly excited about? And also, you signed 5 defensive backs. You've had a pretty good group back there, and you're going to lose some of them. Can you talk about those guys?
Yeah, well, we like all of them. I mean, I think every year we get to this point. Every time we sign a guy, we ask ourselves, can this person potentially help us win the conference? And so whether some guys are a little bit more physically developed, at that age, some guys aren't, but ultimately we look at where are they going to be, down the road, and potentially from a physical standpoint, talent standpoint, character, academic, all those things, the fit, can they help us win the conference? And so we like all of them, and we signed them for a reason. And when you ask about the DBs, we did take a bigger group there in receiver. I think if you look at the class as a whole, you really got, the receiver and DB groups were good size, and then we got the linemen that we took were big. And then we took, a couple linebackers and a couple running backs, a couple quarterbacks, tight ends, but the big groups were receiver and DB, and we've had some experienced DBs, there's no doubt about that. And we got to make sure we keep our roster balanced as best we can. So some years you're going to take more DBs or receivers than other years, and this is one of those years.
You said it yourself, the linemen that you took were big, especially on the defensive line with guys like Ricky Correa and Stanley McKenzie. How much was size an issue and a focus in this class?
At some of those positions, you know, with Ricky and Stanley, you know, those guys are already, let's see, what did they list them at here? This was always fun.
Pushing 3 bills.
Pushing.
Or
Okay,
over.
let's see, hold on here. Stanley McKenzie, 6'2", 310. Yeah, that's pretty close, you know, might be a little over that, especially after the barbecue we went to at Stanley's house with all his relatives. I mean, all of us are pushing that probably after that barbecue, but Stanley's a big kid, really thick. He's quick and explosive for being a guy that size. But you know, for us to play good defense in this conference, you got to be able to play the run, and he can also get after the quarterback, but a really big body in there, a different build than Ricky. Ricky is taller, you know, he's about 6'4". Now he's, what is this, where's Ricky listed at here? Where is he? 330? Yeah, that's probably close, yeah. He's a big kid, and we watched Ricky play, and he had a couple injury things come up as a junior, and then we watched him more as a senior, and he was around us here quite a few times, and then you watched him play, and he chases the ball. And for a guy that big in high school to chase the ball like he did, we thought that was really impressive. And he has some nimble feet for a guy that size. You watch him play offense; they put him in on offense sometimes. But both those guys give us some size in there, and that's something we were definitely looking for.
Coach, final question. Where should we truly rank this recruiting class? Is it the best one ever?
Oh, geez. Yeah, ranking recruiting classes is, that's tough. I feel really good about this recruiting class. I mean, like I said before, I could go through each and every one of these guys and give you really good reasons on why they're a great fit for us. You know, athletically, academically, their character. Now, they still have to grow and develop in all those areas, and that's what we're here for, is to help them do that. Ultimately, we'll see how it goes with them. You know, it's just the beginning, and I think sometimes this day and age, this signing day is the culmination for some people. Well, where we talk about it's really just the beginning of this process for them, and we are really excited to add these guys. Feel great about it, but in terms of ranking them, I'll leave that up to the experts.
ISF is someone you guys fought to keep at the end here. Where do you think he can develop to?
Yeah, I think he's got really good tangibles. Mo has got good size. He's going to get bigger even than he is, and he's already, you know, tall, and he's, you know, strong. I think the tangible things really stick out. You watch him play and his athletic ability, run and hit and tackle. He's going to learn a lot, but one of the neat things about Mo is a pretty quiet guy. He doesn't say much, and I don't know if you ever tried to interview him. Yeah, he's a pretty quiet guy, but I'll tell you, once you start watching football with him, we started, you know, Coach Sermon would start talking football, and then you couldn't get him to be quiet. I mean, he loves football, and so I think it's going to be great for Mo, because he is a talented kid, still got a lot of room to develop and grow, and he'll be great in that room with Pete.
Coach Alexander's philosophy with the defensive backfield seems to put an emphasis on making them interchangeable, knowing each of the positions. And this class, it seems like a lot of these guys can play both safety and corner, and you've got guys that are longer, that could play on the outside, but are ideal safety bodies too. How do you sort that out?
Yeah, I would say it's really a program philosophy. I mean, you look at our defensive line, we ask those guys to play different spots. The linebackers, the same thing. You look at our O-line, receivers, running backs. I think just overall in college football, especially for us, we want that flexibility. It gives you, for a few reasons, you can do some more things schematically, and it also enables you to get your best players on the field. And so, speaking specifically for the defensive backs, college football, the way the teams spread the field, you need to be able to cover. And so I think the days of the old strong safety, a guy that's always playing in the box, it's 220, that doesn't cover great, those are, kind of gone. And so the safeties have to be able to cover. The corners, we like to have a little more length to those guys, but we also like the ability to have some real good, quick, kind of compact guys for our nickel positions. And so there's a couple guys in there that fit that mold as well. But again, to have the flexibility to play multiple positions helps us in terms of what we can do on defense, and it also ensures that we get our best players on the field.
You guys appear to prioritize kind of mobility in your quarterbacks. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. I know as a defensive coach, you always, as you prepare for other teams, you notice when guys are mobile, and just because you fit the run exactly right, or you maybe covered everybody exactly right, if the other guy's mobile, they still create plays, and I think that's a big part of college football, and I know it's going to be for us guys that can extend plays. It doesn't mean you have to run 4-4, but get out of trouble in the pass game, whether you can do something in the run game, extend those plays. And I think if you look at even like Chase Garbers, I mean, how many times has he made big plays for us because he's either extended the play or he's able to make a play on a scramble or a design quarterback run. So those are big for us, and both those guys can do that.
From the outside looking in, there's always more interest in the quarterbacks. Can you talk about the two quarterbacks?
Yeah. Well, Zach, we saw early in the process, and he is a guy that changed quite a bit physically from his junior to senior year, and I don't know the exact number, but I want to say he gained like 25 or so pounds between his junior and senior year. He developed physically, and one of the big things for Zach in the evaluation process is watching him. Coach Baldwin got to watch him throw in person in the springtime, and that was something that really spurred our interest, because his junior, he did some good things. He was still kind of a developmental guy, but his size that he added and his ability to throw the football that showed up in the springtime, coupled with the intangible things that he had, really attracted us to him. Okay, and then Jaden really jumped off the tape. We saw Jaden quite a bit as a junior, and then he committed early and committed to Fresno, and he got a lot of recruiting attention, and deservedly so. But we stayed with it and kept talking to him, and he had kind of a change in what he was looking for, and so we were able to get him up on a visit. I thought he's a really talented kid. I mean, he can make plays with his feet. He really can spin the ball. It comes out hot, and he deals kind of like a point guard or a shortstop. That's how it looks when he plays a position, and a lot of successful quarterbacks these days, that's kind of what it looks like. Now, he's still got a lot of room to get better and grow and mature, but I think those two things really stood out with him and also with Zach.
Two things. One, Jaden bears an uncanny resemblance to Jared Goff, does he not?
Really?
I thought so. Multiple people have thought so.
I never.
Really?
No.
Okay, that didn't come up.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I had never heard that.
Okay.
I guess I can see it now. It didn't hit me in the face, I guess, like it did you. I don't know.
And how'd you guys get hooked up with Jameson and just the
Yeah.
awesome.
Jameson, so it's kind of a neat story. We have a couple guys from, we got one from Australia, one from New Zealand. So one's leaving, so I figured we need to add another one. But there's a lot of players now that are in this, it's called Pro Kick, and down there, the kids grow up, they play Australian rules football, that's what they do. And so he, from a young age, learned how to kick a ball. And it's a little bit different ball, but similar in some ways. And so he'd done that his whole life, and then he went off and had a chance nearly to make it as a professional, as a Australian rules football player, and didn't quite make it. He was actually working in the league, the AFL, and had started working with this group that really trains guys to come over here and punt. And we got a chance to watch some of his video, and he is a very talented guy. When they learn how to kick at that young age, they're using both feet, and they're passing the ball with their feet, to people on the move. So it's a little bit different skill set than a lot of kids growing up here, you don't really do that. You know, you play football and then you basketball, and even when you play football, most kids don't train from the age of 4 to be a punter. And so they just have a little bit different background, and one of the unique things is he's never punted in a football game before. But the ability he has is evident, and you know, we've seen enough on video and to know that he's gonna do a great job for us. And the other thing is he's been a huge fan. I mean, he knows everything about our team and every other team, and he came out here on a visit. That's he's from Melbourne, so that's a 15-hour flight, give or take. And he knew everybody. Every guy was on our team, and what's happening in college football, he's just a junkie, and when it comes to all that stuff. So it'll be great to have him here, and we're looking forward to him punting in his first football game. And one of the nice things about being the head coach is I get to assign recruiting areas, so I think I'm going to take over Australia and New Zealand, you know, for the sake of the program. I think my recruiting area. Yeah.
Okay, any further questions?
Can you talk about Moore and Street, your two running backs?
Yep, two different styles of player. So Moore is a little bit more of a kind of bigger, thicker guy. He gets a lot of kind of tough yards, and as the game goes, he gets stronger and stronger. You see him make bigger and bigger runs throughout the game when guys are getting a little bit tired. He's hard to tackle. He played really well as a sophomore. He got injured a good amount of his junior year, and then we watched him how he came back from his injury and the production he has as a senior, and was a player of the year at a really good program. And so really excited about him and what he brings to the table. And then Chris Street is a little bit different. You know, Chris is a very sudden, explosive guy, makes a lot of people miss. He's also, I mean, he's strong, he's very compact, maybe not quite the weight that Damian is, but different styles of runners, and both can fit really well in what we want to do on offense. But I think, you know, for us, like I talked about before, you know, we got to be able to run the football to win consistently, and I think those two guys will add to that room.
Street was injured late this season?
Yeah, he was. He's coming off of that. It's something that we talked through with him, and we're comfortable with what's going on, and he'll work really hard to get back to full speed, and we'll get him here as fast as we can and get him ready to go.
You talked about going to Independence, Kansas last year. Do you have a favorite story from this recruiting cycle?
Well, a lot of flights this year. A lot of flights. Not done either. I got a few more to go in January. Let's see here. Good stories. Well, Coach Toller, so Jeremiah Hunter is a really good receiver. He's also a big-time drummer in the church band. So I'm looking forward to kind of rookie show, because evidently, so Burrow was there, went and saw him in church, and he said the guy was killing it. You know, just he is the man on the drums at in the church. Let's see the other ones. I went to the Aguilars, Ender Aguilar, and right before we left, we had spent some time together, and they play a lot of games together as a family. So we talked like we need to get a game in, so we pulled out Uno. And I had the walk-off Uno win right before I went to the airport against the Aguilars. So he's looking for a rematch there. The amount of food that myself and Coach Browning and Coach Toohey ate with the McKenzies is impressive. Probably one of our better outings. It was a tough flight back, because that was, you know, fly into Hawaii, got to visit, and then fly back the same day or through the night. And a little bit of an uncomfortable flight because of how much we ate.
What did they feed you?
Oh, everything. I mean, it was all the different dishes, and rice and pork, and we finished with malasadas, which I would encourage everybody to try malasada. It's kind of a Portuguese donut, I believe, and they got custard in them. They're big time, man. So we ate a lot on that one, but a lot of great trips, and you get to know the families. It's just really cool, and you know, you get to see the kids at their homes and in their environments, and really, like I said before, excited about the group. You know, it's a full class, and we think there's some really talented kids in there that still got to develop, and like I mentioned before, this is the beginning, so couldn't be more we're pleased with this group, so.
One of the biggest areas of intrigue for Cal fans was in this last week, seeing how things came together for DJ Rogers with a lot of tight competition, and then holding on to probably the guys that were the most hotly pursued, Mo Iosefa and Hunter as well. Is there anything you can share about how you sealed a deal with these guys?
Yeah, I think it's just continuing to talk to them and be consistent in what we're talking about from day one until now, and not reaching. And I think that's, everybody recruits differently. Every program has their own philosophy on how they're going to recruit and what they're going to talk about. I think if you just stay with it and be consistent in what you're talking about and how you can support those players, and whether it's on the football field or off the football field, and just be honest with them about that. And there is, it's very competitive. It's very, very competitive, but I think the relationships that you build and the relationships that they have with not only us as coaches, but the guys on our team, the other recruits. I mean, you talk about Trey Pastor is one of the best recruiters we have, and Trey and some of those other guys, I mean, they were recruiting nonstop. So you talk about those relationships, and then also their affinity for the school, and what the school can do for them and how it can change their lives. So I think just staying consistent and continuing to talk to them and educate them, and if they have questions, answer them. Get everything on the table so there's really no stone unturned.
You indicated you have some more flights ahead in January. How many more players do you expect maybe you would sign?
It's possible that we wouldn't sign any, and maybe 1 to 2, maybe. But it would be kind of an outlier situation, but it is possible. So.
And then two other things that are not related to recruiting, but have you spent any time at all on the offensive coordinator situation? And can you tell us, is Jordan Duncan going to play in the bowl game?
Yeah, so the first one, Jordan's excused right now to handle some personal things, and we'll address that further when the time's appropriate. And then from the offensive coordinator position, there's been a lot of interest, which is great, and I've spoke with some people, and there won't be a timeline. I'm encouraged with the people that I'm talking to, and I think, like I said, we have a great situation here with the type of guys that we have on our team, being at Cal, and the things that that can bring to somebody looking to be the offensive coordinator here, where we live, the education, the type of players on our team, the type of people we can recruit. So it's very attractive in that way.
You said no timeline, but you don't expect it before the bowl game?
I wouldn't. I don't really want to put a limit on it. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
On the logistics of transfers, is there a difference between how a grad transfer counts versus a regular transfer? Do either of them have to get allocated to this year's class, or they just count towards the 85?
85, yep. 85. Now, if you have a transfer, depending on when they come in, we're basically, we have room for 2 more guys potentially, but as initials, but I don't know if we'll use those, because we may just hold on to those, because the graduate transfer for us would be in summer. We wouldn't take any mid-year grad transfers.
With DeWine Butler being from Antioch,
Yeah.
close proximity around here, were there any other local recruits in this immediate area that you all sought after?
We recruit from the inside out, so we evaluated everybody that's in the local area, and some of the guys we offered scholarships to, some we didn't, and there's a lot of reasons for that. We feel really good about DeWine. I think he's a really talented guy, and looking forward to him getting in here and as fast as possible, because I think he has a chance to really develop in our program. But year to year, it will be different based on who's in the area, the talent in the area, what the profile of those recruits are. Is it a person that fits here? And so it's not a given that every year there's going to be X amount. And so it's just year to year, and we're already started on next year's group.
How good is it to finally get Everett Johnson here after he's been committed?
We were talking about that with Everett. He was here this weekend, and it feels like we've known him forever. Everett showed up here prior to his sophomore year. It was our first summer camp that we had, and I I remember it clear as day. So we would go out to our O-line, D-line camp, and we split them up by age group. So you have, all right, freshmen and sophomores, you guys go over here, and juniors and seniors, you guys go over here. And this guy walks down there and like, no, juniors and seniors are over here. It's like, I'm a sophomore, you know, like he's 6'7", 290, and he can move. It's like, you're what? And so, yeah, so we, from that day forward, I want to say we ended up offering Everett a scholarship shortly thereafter, and he's been great. I mean, he's been over here so many times, and he's got a great rapport with the people here and the recruits, and just a fun-loving guy, and he's a big guy. I mean, he's all of 6'7" and 300 pounds probably, so he'll be here soon, and was just here and can't wait to get going. But kind of one of those things where it's like, finally, you know, it feels like it's been a while. So, yeah.
Wanted to also ask about going from one of the biggest guys to one of the smallest, and Justin Baker.
Mhm.
What kind of ability does he lend to the team when he gets here?
Pretty dynamic guy with the ball. You see him score a lot of different ways. You know, whether it's they throw it to him, which they have done a lot, hand it to him, kick it to him. He's been really productive. He will be a guy that you can use in different ways. You know, whether, like I said, it's fly sweeps, it's option routes, it's post routes, it's kick, punt, return. So we really like the explosiveness and the playmaking ability that he showed. He's a fast guy, he's a quick guy, he's got a good build. You know, he's not the tallest guy, but he's not small either. And so just another type of a guy to add to that room that can give you some different things. Mm-hmm. So the last thing I want to bring up, this day with 25 guys signing, sometimes I don't think people realize how many person hours go into this day. And we have, obviously our coaches, myself and our position coaches are heavily involved, but our graduate assistants and quality control who help us filter some of the names do so much. But there's so many folks, and you talk about like our visits, whether it's an official visit, an unofficial visit for a game, mailings, all the cutting up tape, making videos. So we have a group of student ambassadors who are unbelievable. And without all these types of groups and these people, we would never get to this point. Our student ambassadors, both Devin, Sloan, Sophie, and Kareen. And then we got support staff, BMAC, who helps us do anything and everything. Ron Coach Emilio, Coach, who does our Life After Ball presentations, which are incredible. He heads up that program. Joel, who does our academics, our faculty fellows who come and meet with the recruits from campus. You know, people that are professors all around campus do so much. Steve Etter, who is phenomenal and been a great resource. Deb. Nick Mitchell makes our edits. And a big part of this these days are videos and edits, and Nick does a fantastic job. Our man Norm, who does all the video or photo shoots, and then our recruiting staff, Benji Palu, who's our on-campus director of on-campus recruiting, who is an unbelievable host, and he's the one handling all the logistics, and it takes a lot. Marshall Charrington, Marshall does, you know, a lot of our strategy and social media presence, and he's been unbelievably helpful in this process in terms of creating relationships and keeping us informed. Zach Boshin, who's our director of player personnel, who has a background for 15 years in NFL scouting, and Zach has been great. And then Derek Haithcock, who does all the other stuff in terms of getting guys organized for admissions and all this. But I was sitting there thinking today how many people it takes to get to this moment, and it's the most important thing we do is recruiting. Got to get the right people here, and those guys and girls and women and men, and just I couldn't be more thankful. And we at Cal have benefited from them being here, and this is the Super Bowl for them today, and I sure appreciate them. So I just want to make sure to say that. And Zebo, because he films.
You should start with him.
I know, I usually do. Yeah, all good.
All right, guys.
Okay,
Everybody
thanks.
good?
Yeah.
Okay.